Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank, with 35 locations throughout southeast Louisiana and now into the Florida Panhandle. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. It was a game for the ages as the Saints outlasted the New York Giants 52-49. Records galore. Read all about it at SportsNOLA.com. If we keep researching, we're liable to find more records by the time we're done.
Some of the things that happened in this game are virtually unprecedented, amazing. I mean, you start with the performance of the two quarterbacks. You're talking about Drew Brees, 7 touchdown passes, ties an NFL record. Eli Manning, 6 touchdown passes, no interceptions. He was outstanding in defeat. The 13 combined touchdown passes has never been done before in the history of the National Football League. You literally can just go on, 511 yards for Brees, a team record, breaking his own mark, his second career 500-yard game. Yeah, again, read it all at SportsNOLA.com. It's there, but it was a remarkable performance. And look, it would have been real easy for the Saints to fold it up after giving away that 14-point lead, which they probably shouldn't have. Sean Payton was particularly outspoken without calling out the referees after the game. I thought he was very tactful in his press conference about the holding call on Delvin Breaux on the sack fumble. That could have been game, set, match right there. If you get the ball back with a 14-point lead to go down and potentially score to make it a 3-score game. But instead, Giants go in and score, get back, score again. You get the fumble by Snead that turns into a touchdown, and within 5 minutes the Giants have a 7-point lead. But look, give the Saints credit. Not only did they get the touchdown right there and really manage the clock well to not allow the Giants much time, but they got to stop and then pop the return to give themselves one shot to kick a winning field goal. And there you have it.
Yeah, so many facets to go over. Giants stopping the clock, throwing an incomplete pass, calling timeout the play before that. But you play to win. That wasn't the issue. The biggest issue with the Giants is why in the world did they punt the ball straight down the field to Marcus Murphy? Gave him a chance at a return. And then, of course, the face mask penalty, which the officials screwed up completely on every level. And no one is going to convince me that someone upstairs didn't tell them what happened. And that's why they changed it. That's not the rule, but I really believe that's what happened. In retrospect, they couldn't get the ball spotted right. They tried to pick up the flag and call no penalty, when in fact there was an obvious penalty because the play was still alive. There was a fumble that occurred, so therefore it was still a live play. So many screw-ups on so many fronts. There were a couple of calls against Brandon Browner that were ridiculous. The one on Delvin Breaux was shaky. I'm 100% sure that the NFL is going to look at this game pretty closely.
Yeah, and the interesting point on the punt, I happened to sit next to the NFL officials observer, who yesterday was Jerry Markbright. Now, he's not the replay official, but he's upstairs in the press box. The replay booth is down on the level where TV is. But yes, there was some discussion about where to spot the ball in terms of that. Now, the interesting thing to keep in mind about that last play is this. Murphy fumbled. Willie Snead picked up the ball and advanced it another 3 yards. You remember the old Kenny Stabler, holy roller to Dave Casper. The only player that can advance a fumble on the team that had the ball in the last 2 minutes is the guy who actually fumbled the ball. So whatever Snead did, the ball was going back. That's when the face mask occurred. Wing grabbed, or his hand went across Snead's face mask, and that, I think, was part of the question. It's like, here's this guy here's the guy who can't be advancing the ball, but yet the play is live, and then you get this. So because this really can't be happening, can you have this? And that was also part of the question of the spot. I actually thought that they still did not get the spot right.
They did not.
Murphy was down at the 45. They said it was the 47.
That's correct.
And so, as a result, the ball went to the 32 with the penalty. I thought it could have been the 30. And obviously, you were right on the fringe of Kai Forbath's range there. His career long was 50. He matched it in a clutch time. But you would have liked to have had those 2 extra yards, especially, hindsight being 20/20 now. It didn't matter, but you would have liked to have had those 2 extra yards in that spot.
And he did have some room to spare with his kick. And, oh, by the way the Saints have handled kickers, he earned another week. He'll be here. I don't think anybody will be in to try out this week. I'm just saying. We'll see. And with the schedule the way it stacks up, things look good for the Saints. Tennessee's 1-7. They can't run the ball. They can't protect the passer. And they're coming to town against a beat-up Saints team, but it's the right tonic. The key, Lenny, is the bye comes in a couple of weeks. After Tennessee, ostensibly a win, you're never sure, but you got to win that game, and you'll be a prohibitive favorite, is to go to D.C. and win and then get to the bye and get healthy.
6-4 would be awful. Now, who'd have thought we'd be sitting here at this point a month ago talking about that?
And 5-5's not bad, especially if you still have the Jaguars and the Lions, to name a few.
Exactly, but it would be a lot better to be 6-4 and on that 5-game winning streak. And I'll say this, and we can segue into basketball from here. Who would have thought that sitting here in November the 2nd, that we stood here October the 2nd talking about, okay, football season may essentially be over now at 0-3. Let's get excited about basketball getting started. Now the Saints find themselves probably back in the playoff picture, and our local basketball team is 0-3.
Go figure.
Yes.
Nice transition. The Pelicans back home Tuesday night against the Magic, and then Friday night against the Hawks. And the injuries, they're starting to get some people back. That's the good news. The bad news is the guys that are playing, they're not guarding anybody. And I know they've played good teams so far, but you have to be concerned about defense. And I know that was something that was talked about by Alvin Gentry. It was talked about by Monty Williams. But so far, the points being scored against the Pelicans, it's an alarming number.
And it's coming in bunches. That's the thing. In every game so far, you've allowed somebody to go off for 20-plus points in a quarter. Curry the first night. Curry was unbelievable in the third quarter. Saturday night. And then C.J. McCollum, for goodness sakes. That was crazy. But you've allowed 119 points a game in the first 3 games. I know you've played the Warriors twice. That is the good news. You only have to play them one more time the rest of the year, and that comes in March. Starting to get some guys back, but you just lost Kendrick Perkins as well. I like what he had done early on in the season. I like the energy that he was bringing to the post position. So that is a little bit of a concern, just how badly he is hurt. We'll see how quickly he can be back.
Yeah, but he can't rebound. So they get Ashik back, so obviously that will help offset things, and he'll have to play himself back into playing shape because that's the key. When you get guys back, you can't expect them to be at optimum level. When they come back, it will take a little bit of time for that to happen. So they got to find a win or two here to keep themselves upright early going because the Western Conference is so good, but you already knew that. Tulane, of course, a loss to Memphis. They played well for one half, hung in for a while, but as always, their offense can't produce, so their defense finally breaks down.
And it got, I think,
and special teams. I had to say it.
You had to say it. Well, it was true. But the thing that just struck me in all of this is, the offense. Really, we had a chance to see Rummel and Curtis on Saturday. How they came out on offense on Saturday reminded me of a J. Roth offense from Rummel. It was like best defense is to.
Had the ball the whole quarter.
Had the ball 11-plus minutes on the opening drive. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like that in college football.
And executed.
And they did. And look, give Jordy Joseph credit. Yeah. First career start, he went out, took them down the field the first 2 times. Bang, they're up 13-0 as a 32-point underdog. But unfortunately, that would be it. And you mentioned the special teams. You had a blocked extra point. You had a botched kickoff return, another bad snap for a safety. That's by the way, that kickoff return situation turned into a safety. That's 5 points right there. No telling how much else.
I'll say it again, and I've said it over and over again. I've never seen continuous special teams play this bad on any level. I really haven't, and I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And if anything happens down the road with Curtis Johnson, I think it's going to be traceable. People will talk about the offense, and obviously so, but these special teams have absolutely destroyed his regime and having any chance to win.
Well, and it's been tough. And now they're 2-6, and basically if they've got any hope of playing in December, they've got to run the table. The good news is the schedule gets a lot easier. You look back on the first 2 months of this season. They've lost to the 6 teams they're supposed to have lost to, and they've beaten the 2 teams they're supposed to have beaten. You'd like to have jumped up in there and won a game you weren't supposed to win. We talked about that in this 4-game stretch, trying to get one of these. You didn't. Now you got to win them. Now you got to win them all if you still have hopes of going to a bowl game. It start homecoming on Saturday, by the way, against UConn.
That's certainly correct. And it's LSU-Alabama week, so let the talk begin. It's unreal. It's going to be an incredible week. Alabama's about a 5.5 point favorite. LSU goes in off of an off week, so does Alabama. They'll be ready to play. That's the good news. Both teams relatively healthy. I think each team will get the other's best shot. That's a great thing, and as a result, I think the best team will win.
Let's hope so. You know you're going to get a good game when these 2 teams get together. 4 times in the last decade we've seen it go to overtime, so 60 minutes might not even be enough to decide it. Really looking forward to this one. Great head-to-head matchup at running back with Fournette and Henry. That should be a lot of fun to watch. And obviously, of course, the people down here are going to be partial to Fournette, but these are perhaps the 2 best running backs in the country.
Arguably, certainly. One is unquestionably. The other is in the conversation, no question. All right, and then high school football, of course, week 10. So we've arrived at the final week of the regular season. Everybody jockeying for position for the playoffs. It's going to be interesting to see on the non-select side as people really do battle for playoff spots. Not so much on the select side. Everybody goes, basically. So what's the difference? Well, the difference is seeding. So we're going to be watching that. And to that end, we'll have perhaps the biggest game of the weekend coming up. Lutcher and De La Salle at Victory Field, Joe Brown Park. What a great game that's going to be for a district title and a high seed, obviously, on the select side and on the non-select side. And then Saturday, we've got Rummel and St. Augustine on radio on WGSO 990 AM at 2. So another great weekend.
It should be fun. Yeah, we'll have the of course, Lutcher De La Salle live here Friday night, SportsNOLA.com. Saturday, we'll have the re-air at noon. And the good news is, at least with these two schools, yeah, they're going to play. They won't see each other again after this, and they've both got a legitimate chance to win state championships in their respective class and division. A lot of these other ones may see some rematches.
And certainly, one other thing to mention, aside from watching Sports NOLA TV, 6 p.m. Monday night, WHNO, you're going to get a chance to watch a live wrestling meet. Not just a live wrestling meet, but an outdoor wrestling meet. Coming up Thursday on SportsNOLA.com, tape delayed Saturday on WHNO.
Going to be fun. John Ryan Stadium, Jesuits baseball stadium, is going to host a wrestling meet. We've seen this in hockey, seen this to a certain degree in college wrestling in other parts of the country. I like the idea of going kind of out of the box to do these things and create an event, and I think it's going to be a terrific atmosphere. Jesuit and St. Paul's, a dual meet Thursday night. Watch it live here at Sports NOLA, and then you catch the re-air Saturday right after De La Salle Lutcher on WHNO.
Yeah, two great programs. And, of course, SportsNOLA.com is the home for everything. You've watched a live volleyball match here this year. We've had softball. We've had baseball, basketball, football. Now we're having wrestling as we continue to expand our coverage.
And, by the way, volleyball playoff brackets will be announced on Monday. We'll have that for you at SportsNOLA.com. And at some point here, we will probably be able to announce a volleyball playoff matchup as well. So just stay tuned for that.
That's a mouthful. I'm tired. Have a great week.
See you later this week.
That's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank, with 35 locations throughout Louisiana and Florida and growing. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. He's Lenny. I'm Kenny. You're you. Have a great weekend. God bless you.